It's time now for Real Estate Update. With Usha Chandra of Globenet Realty, real estate is our world.
Now we're standing here face to face, afraid to move or...
So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, welcome to this very exciting segment of the weekly real estate update with Usha Chandra of Globenet Realty. This segment is exclusive to Australian Indian Radio. So, once again, with that, let's welcome to the show, Usha.
Thank you so much for having me on the show, Umesh, and Australian Indian Radio. It's good to be back on your show again.
Well, it is always wonderful to have you, and today we're going to be talking on a slightly different format because some of the results that have come out on a national basis, and also looking at the 3 months and maybe 12 months results and all of those, because as we know, these are very volatile times. Even though prices are high, people say there is still activities, but then vendors' expectations are high, and it's becoming a tough market as we saw. But let's take a look at maybe in the very, very beginning, if you would be able to give us an overview of Australian dwelling values.
Yes, looking at the Australian dwelling values, the overview. Let's have a quick look at the 3 months overview. 1.1%. The national value rose 1.1% in the last 3 months to May. The lowest quarterly growth rise since November 2020. So it was, the growth was there, but it was the lowest since November 2020. Looking at the 12-month change, 14.1%, quite good results there on the overview of the 12 months. Dwelling values rose throughout Australia, was 14.1% higher over the last 12 months, down from the cyclic peak of 22.4%. So it's lower, but it was looking at the record, it's quite good results there, and it was recorded for the 12 months to January 2022. And looking at the capital cities, the lower value segments continue to lead growth. In the last 3 months to May, capital city home saw upper quartile values fall by minus 1.4% compared to the rise of 3.4% across the lowest quartile values. So looking at the values there, that's the results there, Umesh. If you want to put some thoughts about say something about the values as well.
Well, of course, a value is a value. It means what it means is what someone is prepared to pay for a property or a commodity at that given point in time, and that's what dictates the value. And that is always driven by market forces such as the supply and demand. Interest rate will also play a significant role in that as well. So looking at the housing cycles, which was quite good on a national way, but right here in Brisbane now, if we can break that down into what it did in those same scenarios, but for Brisbane.
Yes, let's have a quick look at in May, Brisbane dwelling values rose by 0.8%. Over the quarter value, dwelling values increased by 4.6%, and over the past year, for the 12 months, the dwelling values increased by 27.8%. Brisbane dwelling values are currently at a record high. So that shows, if you compare the whole of Australia, the Brisbane values are quite high, 27.8%.
Brisbane values at a record high at this point in time. That is just amazing. We're looking at that 27.8. That is quite an exceptional growth. So what about the time on the market? What are the properties taking? How long are they taking to sell? The graphs that we have, let's probably look at first all of the capital cities, and then together with that the regional areas as well. So regional and capitals together. Let's take take a look at the number of days the properties are taking to sell.
Yes, the properties are taking a little bit longer. At the national values, properties are taking longer to sell. In the 3 months to May, the medium days on the market was recorded at 28 days, up from the lowest recent lowest of 20 days in the 3 months to November. So let's have a quick look at throughout Australia. Normally it was taking much lesser time to sell. Now it's taking between 23 to 28 days to sell the property. In combined regional areas, 26 to 32 days to sell the property, and combined capitals, which is taking 21 to 27 days. Before, it used to take only a couple of hours or couple of days to sell the properties, especially in Brisbane, but these days it's taking longer. The market is there's lesser buyers looking. The owners' expectations are quite high still. That's why it's taking a little bit longer to sell, getting the maximum price for the sellers, and the buyers are aware with the interest rate going up and all that sort of things taking into account. The properties are taking longer to sell at the moment.
So time on the market is longer now than what it used to be before. But there was a stage when, we were looking at some of the graphs where there were about 40 days plus some of the areas were on the market. So that's on an average. Those figures there are to me quite reasonable, even considering everything. Well, right now, as we know, the other side of the coin in rentals, in the real estate is rentals. So what has been the scene in the rentals area? If you could give us a report on that.
Yes, looking at the rental section, unlike the changes in dwelling purchase values, rental values growth remains high across Australian dwellings. Rental values increased a further 1% in May, taking the rents 9.3% higher over the year. Looking at the Australian market, 99.3%, and combined regional was 10.8%, and combined capitals was 8.8%. So it's quite high. The rental values are still remaining very high. Demands are quite high. The supply is still less. That's why the rental prices are quite high, and the demand, especially the demand and supply, and the rental increase. The values are quite high at the moment here.
So that is quite good to see that the combined regionals at 10.8%. That's quite a good growth there. So as you mentioned in your opening remarks there, that unlike changes in dwelling values, rental values remain high, which is good to see. It's a good news for investors as well. So right now, looking at all of that, let's get to some of our daily, not daily, but our weekly reports, and let's take a look at what's been happening in the auction scene.
Yes, fewer auctions were taken place last week. 1,400 homes were taken to auction across the combined capital cities. Auction activity was significantly lower across the combined capital cities last week. 1,393 homes were taken to auction as the majority of the states celebrated Queen's birthday and the long weekend. So anytime there's long weekend or any public holidays or any other holidays, so the numbers go down in auctions as well. And similar time last year, looking at 1,413 auctions were sold, so it was across the board there. The previous week saw 2,644 homes were taken to auction in the combined capital cities, and out of those ones, 1,116 sold, and the 58% was the successful results. So the auction results was quite down, only 58.5%. Looking at the previous week, preliminary clearance was 62.3%. So as we discussed, that any long weekends or any public holidays or whatever, the results are down. Previous week was 62.3%, and the final clearance was down still by 58.2%. The final clearance rate was held below 60% for the last 2 weeks, and in the previous week it will be likely to be different as the remaining results will be collected. This time last year, 73.6% of the reported auctions were successful. So looking at the 73.6% last year and 58.2% this year. So that was the results of the auctions. So
Yes, and it is interesting to see that last year, this time, 73.6%, and looking at 58.5%. So in the last 2 weeks, continuously being below the 60% mark. That's indicative of the market. And have you found this similar results in your area?
yes, absolutely. The results are pretty down. Looking at all the weekends, I mean, we didn't have long weekend here in Queensland, but there was a lot of people holidaying in Queensland. So let's have a quick look at the total combined capital cities. The total auctions was 58.5%. 1,393 properties were taken to auction. As previously said, 1,116 sold under the hammer. And in houses was 59.8%, and the units was 53.8%. So that was the results for, and the average median price was 1,050,000 total values, and the houses were 1,135,000, and the auction units was 752,000 was the results there. And looking at the results in Adelaide is the best results there, looking at 78.7%. So out of that 78.7%, the houses were 138 properties were houses that sold, and the sold at auction was 46, and units was not applicable, 7 units sold, so that didn't meet the 10 to count at auction results. So the prices in Adelaide is 749,500 for the houses. Looking at Brisbane, coming to Brisbane markets, total was 48% of the auction. The total number of auctions properties were taken to auction was 161, and the total number of sales was 17 properties were sold. 123 properties were sold. The houses 48%, and units still not applicable. So there was 116 houses were sold, and 7 units were sold in Brisbane. And Brisbane, looking at the Brisbane market, the median price quite high, 1,065,000 is the median price, and for the houses in Brisbane as well. So that's the results for auction of last week.
And taking into account that major parts of the nation had that Queen's birthday holiday, of course, we are Queenslanders. We like to be different, so we hold it on a different time. So that's reflective of that in the. So okay, now just a quick overview of the numbers of these auctions throughout the nation.
Yes, let's have a quick look at the Brisbane city. Brisbane was 166 properties were taken to auction, and looking down at Sydney markets, 592 properties were taken to auction, and Canberra was 68, and Melbourne was quite high, 442 compared to Brisbane and Canberra. Looking at Adelaide, 141 properties were taken to auction, and Darwin was not applicable. Perth was 18, and Tasmania was 0 auctions. So that was the results. Very, very low results across the board.
So, now that we have seen the numbers that were taken to auction, what did they finally end up happening in that week, if we can look at all the combined capital cities?
Have a look at the clearance results as well. In Sydney, it was 53.3%. Total number of properties were taken to auction was 912, and cleared sales was 484. Melbourne was 58.8%. 1,245 properties were taken to auction, and 731 sold under the hammer. Brisbane was 56.4%. 0.4%, and 134 properties were taken to auction, and 75 only sold under the hammer. So looking at the expectations are quite high, that's why the results are really low. Adelaide was 72.7%, quite good results there. 212 properties were taken to auction and 152 sold under the hammer. Perth was 42.9%, 14 properties were taken to auction, only 6 sold under the hammer. Tasmania was not applicable. Canberra was 66.6%, and 127 properties were taken to auction and 84 sold under the hammer. Looking at that, so the average was 58.2% with cleared auctions. Number of properties was 2,644, and total number of cleared sales was 1,532. So the results was quite low across the board.
Okay, yes, as we mentioned before, that it is all due to that long weekend throughout the nation, except for Queensland. This is where everyone came to have their holidays. So we had to keep our, everything open so that people could be catered for. Well, anyway, looking at all of those, so, in the ending part of today's show, if we could give a report on your area to see what are the activity level in your area.
Yes, looking at our area, Boondall, north side of Brisbane, the market is still pretty slow at the moment. We have got a couple of new listings that have come. The open houses was very quiet actually compared to the previous weeks. I think a lot of Queenslanders were holidaying as well. And so we have got a couple of new listings. We have signed up an auction in Tigum, and that's going to be auctioned on July the 2nd. And it's a 3-bedroom house with 2 bathrooms and 3-car accommodation. So that's going for auction at number 12 Poplar Place, and it's open at 11 o'clock this Saturday, and we are doing private inspections on that property as well. It's a vacant property, ideal for investors to buy, and it should rent somewhere around the 500-510 mark, and so that's a good value there. And we have got a couple of other new listings. We have got one at Tanya Street. That one is a 2-story townhouse. That's offers over $395, and we have got that's open this Saturday as well at 10 o'clock. 272 Muller Road in Tigum. That's open this Saturday at 10 o'clock. And so we have got about 8 open houses this Saturday, and we have got a new listing at Wavell Heights. It's on 607 square meters. It's a low-set brick house. Was rented for $480 a week. It should rent so at least about $550 a week, and that's on the market for offers over $899. So there's those are the few new listings which we need to sell. Quite a lot of, the investors are offloading. Some of the investors are offloading their investment properties to put the money into something else. So those are the open houses for this Saturday, and we have got a couple of rentals. We haven't got too many rentals. We've got only one rental available at 37 Tahiti Street for $750 a week. It's ideal for dual living or extended family. So that's got 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, and 2-car accommodation with a large shed as well. So it's on top of the hill in Tigum. It's quite good value, and that one is available. That's the only rental available with us at the moment. So that's the weekly report from Globenet Realty. Thank you so much for having me on the show, Australian Indian.
Before that, it is all a pleasure to have you on the show. So, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes today's show. Until next week, it's goodbye from us.
Globenet Realty. Globenet Realty has been the longest established, trusted and respected agency in its trade area. Usha Chandra, Director of Globenet Realty, provides honest and ethical service to her customers. If you are thinking of investing in Brisbane real estate market, or if you are seeking professional property management, then you should contact Usha Chandra today on landline 3865 4466 or mobile 0419 775 416. And for further updates, log on to our website www.globenetralty.com.au. Globenet Realty is your own local real estate agency. situated at Shop 52281 Sandgate Road, Boondall. Globenet Realty. Real estate is our world.